Good evening. It's my pleasure to get to introduce Stephen Kelly and his family. Becky and Hannah have joined us here tonight. A couple of years ago, I got in touch with Stephen from Kathy's Creek Church of Christ up near Columbia, Tennessee, and told him I was interested in going down and seeing Guyana, and that's kind of where all this started, from a comment back in CYC several years before that. But Stephen, as a teacher, a coach, you're the youth minister at Kathy's Creek, and he's also the missionary over the Hope Children's Home from the Americas side. He has extensive knowledge in Guyana, from everywhere from being inside the interior to staying in the small villages to most recently the past several years at the Hope Children's Home. But he's been my point of contact and brought a lot of information and knowledge to me and the rest of the church about it. And we was going to go up and meet him, but Randy kind of wanted to get to meet him and thought it was best if he come on down here. That way everybody could meet him, and that way there won't be a stranger if something happens and I can't go down with him. Stephen, glad to have you and look forward to hearing your presentation.
Well, good evening. Well, some of you are awake. We had a big meal a while ago, enjoyed the fellowship, appreciate Jason and his family and all those that were with us a few moments ago. A lot of laughter at our meal a few moments ago. And so I'm full, but I'm talking, and so I want you to stay with me. I got a lot to talk about, a lot of slides to get through, and hopefully you will benefit from this tonight as we look at this work that we do in Guyana, South America. I put a lot of stuff down here, and then I realized that it was hidden by the Lord's Supper table, but there are a lot of different artifacts and things here. That's loud. There are a lot of artifacts and things down here that if you want to come up and look at later, you're welcome to come up and look at that. And, if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer any of those questions as well after we finish tonight. So we'll go ahead and just jump in. Right here. So obviously all that we do is really, carrying out the Great Commission. And y'all know that, Matthew 28, and just to go and to try to do all that we can to share God's love and share His Word with others. And so I chose in 2008 that Guyana, South America was going to be my place to go. And I've been going ever since then. And as Jason said, I've been all over the country. But in 2020, believe it or not, COVID year, I was asked to take over the work at the home, and our elders thought that I was a little crazy when I presented it to them, especially being COVID year and all that was going on. But we did. They graciously agreed to be the sponsoring congregation. And y'all, we're a small country church. We're about 120 to 130 members on Sunday morning, but we're just a little country church out in the middle of nowhere, and so I relate to a lot of you here in this area. We actually lived in Decatur, Alabama from 2008 to 2011, and that's where I first got involved in the work in Guyana. I was the youth minister at the Austinville congregation there in Decatur, and so they were already involved in that work. And when I started, they asked me if I would go, and that's kind of how I got my start. So just to give you a little background about that. Here's kind of a map of Guyana, and just to let you know, it's about 2,700 miles from Nashville. And so Columbia is about 70 miles south of Nashville, so I base everything off of Nashville. So about 2,700 miles to Guyana, to Georgetown, Guyana anyway. And you can see Georgetown up in the kind of the top, almost in the center there. That's the capital of Guyana. You see kind of what it's surrounded by, with Venezuela over here, Brazil at the bottom, Suriname over to my right. And so just to give you a little indication of what kind of is around it, of course, the Atlantic Ocean up there as well. But 2,700 miles, we were kind of talking about this at supper a few moments ago. From Nashville, we have about 7 hours of airtime. And to some people, they're like, that's a piece of cake, 7 hours. But it ends up being about a 18 to 20 hour day. by the time you get up, you go to Nashville, you wait there, you get on your plane, and we go from Nashville to Miami, and then Miami the rest of the way down. And so we usually have a big layover in Miami, and so it's a long day. And even once you get to into Georgetown, you've got to get through their customs and get your luggage. And time is not the same in that country as it is here, and so we're at their beck and call, and so it takes a while to get out of their airports and then get into vans to go to wherever we're going, and so it's a long day to get there, but it's so worth it to meet the people there and to get involved. I told Jason that I would try to just kind of run through these pretty quickly. I'm going to share a little bit about the history of the home in just a moment, but I'm also kind of doing a little bit of what we did this last summer, so it's going to be a little mixture of things. This is my family. My wife has been a few times to Guyana before. This was my daughter's first time to ever go this summer, and my daughter's 14, and so she told me to block out all the pictures of her on here because she's a 14-year-old girl, but I'm going to embarrass her tonight. So I was glad to have them with me on this trip, and just kind of took a few pictures of us as we were flying together, because it was pretty special for all three of us to be together on this trip. I'm actually involved in two different works in Guyana presently, and so this one is one of them, and I'm just going to briefly say something about this work and then jump to the home, because I know you guys are probably more interested in the home. But the Blueberry Hill congregation is up in the Linden, or actually down in the Linden area. It's south of Georgetown. It's about 3 hours drive from where the home is to where this congregation is. But we have a little church there that we support and that we help. And so typically when I go down in the summer, I'll spend a couple of days there doing some things and encouraging them and helping them. And then we'll go back to the home and spend the rest of our time there. And so I just took a few pictures of that this summer, of us being there. And we got there on very early in the morning on Sunday morning. We worshiped with them on Sunday morning. We, led their Bible classes and conducted their worship services. Then we went back on Monday and we did a one-day VBS and a one-night gospel meeting on Monday. And then we headed to the coast, to the home. And so just took a few pictures of those things while we were at Blueberry Hill. We've just purchased them a new building. And so this was their temporary shelter that they had. They've just now moved into this new building in the last month or so. But this was their temporary building that they were in while we were there. One of their song leaders there, a very active congregation in their community, a lot of young people, a lot of youth. And they've got so many different ministries in their community and do an excellent work there in what they do. So I just briefly wanted to say a little bit about that. This is Tony Clay from Florida. He has gone with me for the last few years. David Myers, who is an elder at the Wildwood Church in Florida, Orlando, Florida area. He goes with me. He's been going actually a lot longer than I have. And so he and his wife are dear friends, and they go with us each year as well. But that's just some of those pictures, and that was kind of our American team that went this past summer. The three on my left, David and his wife Sarah and Tony, they're all at the same congregation in Orlando, Florida. My family, and then the lady kind of between me and my wife is Holly. She lives in Kentucky. She's been going with me for several years as well, and so she's a big part of our team too. As I said, we conducted we did their Bible classes, did a little one-day VBS, and then a gospel meeting that night. So I just kind of took some pictures of the different things that we did while we were there. So there's that. And then I'll jump into the children's home, because I know this is what you guys probably want to know a little more about. So the children's home was established in 2001. The church was already meeting there. They had this property. They had a building, the Enmore Church of Christ, and they were approached about taking in some children. They had some members in their church building that really had a heart for kids, and they're still to this day, this is the only home in the entire country that will take kids with disabilities. And so a lot of our children have some mental and or physical disabilities. And so they took in 3 kids in 2001, and then it just took off. They ended up, building onto their existing church building to be able to make some sleeping quarters and some classrooms, because originally they had to educate all the kids in the home. And so the work began in 2001, and it's a direct, everything that they have done has been because of the members of the church there at Enmore who just love these children. The original building was one floor, so it was just this bottom floor. So they had the church auditorium over on my left. They had kind of a kitchen and fellowship area on my right. And so then they went up and they put what they call the upper flat. They made some classrooms over the auditorium. They made some living quarters over the top of the kitchen and fellowship area over there. And so that's how they got their start. And then they just continue to grow from there. In 2012, this building was completed behind the church building, and this is the girls' dormitory. They decided that they wanted to separate the girls and the boys, and so they, through generous funds and stuff from the U.S., they were able to build this building, and it opened in 2012, and has been a blessing to the kids there ever since. So we got there on Saturday night late. As I said, we worshiped at Blueberry Hill on Sunday. We did VBS and gospel meeting on Monday. We drove on Tuesday to the coast and went to the church building to get everything set up. And so we decorated. We got things ready because we did a VBS and a gospel meeting. VBS during the day, gospel meeting at night, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we have a youth rally on Saturday. It's the only youth rally in the country of Guyana. And there's 200 to 220-ish that show up for this youth rally. It's an all-day Saturday thing. I think we go from 9 to 2 or something like that, 9 to 3. But it's an all-day thing. It's full of energy. Kids from all over the country come in from 3 and 4 hours away, and it's a big day for them. So VBS, gospel meeting, youth rally. So it's a busy week while we are there. But we come in, we do some decorating on Tuesday, and then we hit the ground running on Wednesday to start all the different events that we're doing. And so, again, our American team, we're joined there by a couple of local people there. The lady in the middle, Pam. She is a member of the church there at Enmore. She was baptized not this past summer, the summer before, has been going there for years, and we've been studying with her. And so she became a Christian 2 summers ago, and she's a big, big help to everything that goes on, church and the home. The guy in the back, he actually is from Suriname. He's the preacher at one of the congregations in Suriname, and he's really connected to the home and comes over each year and helps us. For the last 3 or 4 years, has come over to help us with our VBS and gospel meeting and youth rally, and he's a big helper as well. We just kind of take turns. We've got the classes broken down, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we usually have about five different age group classes. And so we all take our turns teaching those classes during the day at the VBS, and then we come back, and the few of us preachers that are there take our turn preaching at night. The children are precious. This is a mix of kids from the home as well as kids from the church and community, and just try to take a few pictures each year of them. They like being silly and laughing and cutting up, build a lot of great relationships. That's what it's all about. As you're there, obviously trying to share God's love and His Word with them, you build all these relationships as well. I used to joke before my wife went from the very first time with me, and I would tell her, don't be surprised if I come back with an extra child when I come back home, just because you get so attached to these kids. And I think the first time she went was in 2016, and she did. She got attached. She understood what I meant by getting attached to those kids, and she does when she goes down. She continues. She's a teacher by trade, by the way. She teaches first grade, and so she loves children, and she gets attached to them as well. But this is Tony from Florida, the guy behind him, Sheldon Jones. He's actually the preacher at the Blueberry Hill Church that I told you about in the very beginning of my presentation. They usually take the middle school class, and this is taught kind of upstairs in what we call their office area upstairs. And so they do the middle school class each year. My wife had the next class down from the middle school class. I think hers was maybe 8 to 10, maybe something like that. This is Sheldon's wife, Siobhan. So he and his family come over and help us each year. After we leave Blueberry Hill, they come with us to the home. So that's them teaching their class. Sarah and my daughter taught the next class down, which was, I think, maybe 6 and 7 year olds, I think, if I remember correctly. And so they taught that class, and then Miss Holly always takes the youngest class and teaches them. It's usually 3 to 5 year olds, somewhere in that range, with the youngest class. So a little bit about our VBS. These are some of the kids from the home. They love to sing. They love to interact. They are a joy to be around. Kenneth Finlayson over to the left, he is the director of the home. He's the founder of the home. He's the preacher at the Enmore Church. He is involved in everything. He is an amazing guy, hard worker. He's about 54 years old, and these kids absolutely love him. And he teaches them, he teaches them to lead. He teaches them to do everything, and they love being around him and helping him. This guy, Andy, I'll say more about him at the end of my presentation. He grew up in the home, and he's one of their song leaders now. He's grown and out of the home now, but he still is at every service. He's one of their main song leaders, still involved in the home. These are two of the men at the congregation that are also song leaders, and their families are so involved. Probably the two hardest working families in the church that's involved in everything that goes on with the church and the home. And so always like to show pictures of them. As I said, we did a gospel meeting each night, and so Tony, David, and I usually take turns preaching each night. And last summer we did some things over the I am statements, and so Tony doing that one there. David did one night, and then I did the final night of the gospel meeting. I am the good shepherd. And we talk about relationships. Every year that I go down, I've been in ministry since 2002. And I would say since then, probably 80 or 85% of the time I'm gone on our anniversary. So my wife's a patient lady in youth ministry. Just summer is busy, right? And so our anniversary is in July, and we're typically gone. And a lot of times it's mission work, and it's been that way for years now in Guyana. I'm gone. Luckily, they were all with me this time, and they surprised us. We talk about the church being a family. My statement that I make to people is you can never outgrow the church. It's impossible to outgrow the church, and I'm a firm believer in that. And we've got family literally all over the world with connections we've made with the church, and this group of people down here are very special. They surprised us at the end of. I was finishing up my lesson on Wednesday night, and I saw some people in the back kind of starting to stir. And I thought, I don't know what they're doing. I thought maybe there was an emergency, didn't know what was going on. And then before I know it, we finished the invitation, and then out comes a cake and some juice. And, they start putting up decorations and balloons. And because I had made a post early that morning about our anniversary on Facebook, and they saw it, and they went that day and bought all this stuff. They brought us all gifts. Myself, my wife, my daughter bought us gifts, and they did this big celebration for us to celebrate our anniversary. Even one of them went to AI and made us a country song for our anniversary. And they played that song for us that night. And so this group of people have just become family to us, and just a real blessing in our life. And so we took a few pictures of that. As I said, on Saturday, we do a youth rally. It's a big event. People from all over the country come in for this. They always ask me to put together a theme, and they want me to do T-shirts and give to all the kids at the home, and they love getting that. And so we always do that and take T-shirts down each year. And so our theme was just trusting God's plan, and the members of this church, y'all. For lack of a better word, they go all out for everything they do. Their hospitality is phenomenal, and they are such gracious hosts. And so we finish up on Friday night with the VBS and gospel meeting, and on Saturday morning, we've got a youth rally. So Friday night, these people stay in there and completely transform the building from youth rally or from VBS to youth rally, right? And they'll stay in there, through the wee hours of the morning, decorating, getting this building ready for the youth rally. And a lot of their members come in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they start cooking because they make this big meal for everybody that's coming in for the youth rally. And so they're just a very hardworking group of people. But we do that youth rally on Saturday. Again, those are the shirts that I had made and carried down for everybody, and just our American team that was there. Took a few pictures of that. These are a lot of the kids from the home. They have a tradition at the beginning of the youth rally before everything starts. They like for different people that are there that are represented to march in. That's kind of their tradition, right? And so they start with the kids from the home, and they give them the little Guyana flags, and as we are getting started, they walk in and they wave their little flags, and they sit down in their little place, and then usually they'll have us walk in with our American flags, and we sit down, and then our people from Suriname walk in with their flags, and they sit down before we ever start anything. And it's just their tradition. They like doing that. They like talking about how many different groups of people are represented there on that day. And then they kind of look at the different people from Guyana as well, and how many different parts of the country are there. And so it's just kind of a special way that they start their youth rally each year. As I said, we'll have over 200 people there every year. It's a packed house. You see all the decorations, all the stuff is done by their members. They do a great job with that, and so they're very proud of this day. It's a big event for them, and as well as all these other people from the country. I've already introduced him, Dan. He's from Suriname. He and I were the two speakers at the youth rally this year. So we usually have two keynote speakers, and then we usually have another guy that will do kind of a devotional thought at the end. And so we took care of those things this year, and did that. Sheldon Jones from Blueberry Hill was the devotional speaker at the end of the afternoon, and so he led a little devotional at the end. Of course, he's a fantastic. Both of these guys are great preachers, but Sheldon is an unbelievable song leader as well. Very powerful voice, and so the kids love him. He does a lot of youth type events in his area. The kids love being around Sheldon. We end the youth rally every year with a kind of a closing prayer. We gather everybody around the auditorium. We pray for safety for everybody going back home, and just talk a little bit about unity and the blessing it is to be in the church. And so we have that prayer before we send everybody back to their respective places. And so kind of a special thing there. After we finished the youth rally on Saturday, we stayed and did worship with the church and the home on Sunday. We led their Bible classes, and I preached on Sunday morning. And so David was doing the men's class there. Sarah did a ladies' class. Becky and my daughter did this one kids' class. I think they only have 2 kids' classes on Sunday morning. And so Becky and my daughter did one, and some of their ladies, I think, or actually Holly may have done, I think Holly did the youngest class. Before worship starts, Kenneth always gets the little ones up and lets them sing, kind of like y'all did just a second ago with your pew packers. He gets his little ones up, and he sings some VBS songs with them, and they love it. They love to sing during the VBS. They want to join me up there, and they want to do they teach me stuff that because they've got some songs, some Guyana songs that we may not know, and so they teach me some of their songs, and I teach them some of our songs, and we have a lot of fun. With that, I will say, because I know people always ask this question, English is the primary language in Guyana. Has been for many, many years. And so communication is easy. People always ask that, and especially, y'all have got some people that are wanting to go maybe this summer, and I hope that works out. But English is the primary language, and so you can talk to them. Now, they may speak a little faster. And they may have a little dialect. We talked a little bit about that at supper a while ago, that sometimes you got to really listen to pick up on it. But for the most part, you can understand them really easily, and so that's a blessing. We had our worship services, and as I said, I preached that morning, had a great crowd that morning, and Typically, the children from the home are made to sit over here on this left side of their auditorium. In these first several pews, they have not all gotten in there yet at this point when this picture was taken. Currently, there are 44 kids in the home. The youngest one just showed up about 3 weeks ago. She's 2 months old. And so she's a doll. They've got another one that's, I think, just had her first birthday just a few months ago, maybe. So they do have a couple of pretty small ones that are there. And they've got them all the way up to, when the home was designed, 18 was when they were supposed to age out of the home, as you would expect. But because some of these kids have some disabilities, up until about a year ago, there was nowhere in the country that took adults with disabilities either. And so we would keep these kids. Some of these kids had gotten up to almost 30 years old. And it was because we didn't want to put them out. They had nowhere to go. And there was nowhere to put them. They didn't have family. They didn't, and so we kept some of them. About a year ago, the country did open up a kind of an adult residence place for some of them to go. And so some of our older kids were able to transfer there. And I'm still in contact with a few of them. There was a big group of boys that started at the home when they were like 1 or 2 and went all the way, through their mid-20s. And I built a lot of really good relationships with those boys. And about 6 or 8 of them are all together at this adult place. And they contact me on Facebook. They talk to me. And it's a blessing to carry those relationships on. But typically about 18 is about when they age out. We try to, at that point, find somebody in their family that will take them. If at all possible. Even if that's a distant cousin or, aunt or uncle or something like that is what we typically try to do. We do have 2 currently that are in their 20s right now, but they're just part of the home, and they're really, the boy has a lot of disabilities. The girl is really like one of the workers at the home. She takes care of all the little kids, and she's a hard worker, and so she's a blessing to the home. So they're still there right now, but everybody else is younger than that. After Sunday, we typically always try to do a meal with the kids and with the staff and all the workers that have helped us all for our time that we were there. And so we always go over to their kitchen area. And I don't know why all my pictures were blurry, y'all. I apologize about that. But we went over to their kitchen area, and we actually this year we went to a grocery store and we found some Purdue chicken strips and some French fries because we had been doing pizza for several years, and we decided we wanted to do something different. And they asked for some chicken, and so we went and found it, and we came back and we fried all that up, and some Oreo cookies. And chocolate chip cookies, they loved that. And so we just sat down and just kind of had some good fellowship with them, because on Monday morning, the next morning, we're flying out back home. And so, it's busy. From the time we get there, we hit the ground running. We don't stop. It's all day long, but it's worth it. And it's a blessing just to spend these last few hours with them. We'll spend through, I think we spent 2 or 3 hours just kind of eating and fellowshipping with them before we left that night. Talked about relationships. My daughter obviously built a lot of relationships. She's back there cringing because I'm putting her picture on the slide right now. But she built a lot of relationships with the kids. They loved having her down there with us this year, and so she was a blessing. Even played with her little hair while we were there, and then me kind of saying goodbye to some of the kids before we left. Here's where we'll kind of get to as we draw things to a conclusion. This was one of the latest pictures. This was from maybe a month or so ago. As I said, we have about 44 kids currently, and you may be able to count that quicker than me. I don't know if that's everybody, but that's pretty much everybody except for the newest baby, because like I said, she just came in a few weeks ago. But that's most everybody else. Kenneth Finlayson, the director, is over here on the far left in the back. The lady front and center, she has been with the home since the very beginning. Her husband is one of the song leaders. She was the primary teacher for the home. She started having some heart issues when we were down there this past summer, and she was told by her doctor that she was going to have to stop working at the home, and it's about destroyed her because this home has been her life. And so she's had to cut back majorly, but there's probably her and one other lady that has control of that home, and it's, and losing one of them is big for us. Because these kids mind her like nobody else. She can get their attention. She's a very soft-spoken lady, but she gets their attention. They mind her, but she is a blessing. And so filling her shoes right now, we're trying to work on that. She's still trying to obviously she's a member of the church. She sees them every service, but not being in the home with them every day is an adjustment. The lady in the very back center, she is the supervisor of the home. She's been there since the very beginning as well. And so she's her worth is, I can't even put into words what she does for the home. And so they're in the picture with the kids, and just a great group of people. Jason may have said some of this to some of you individually. We tried several years ago. It was determined that the current facilities were not enough. They were not adequate, really, for the needs of the kids at the home. And so, in 2008, they raised some funds to buy some land across the street from the church building. And they were able to do that. They purchased the land, and the dream was to build a new facility, a facility that would be adequate for all of the handicap needs, basically. I've given Jason a set of blueprints just to have and see if some of y'all want to look at that. I'm an old contractor as well. Built houses for many years before I got into full-time ministry, and then now I'm a teacher turned school counselor. So if some of y'all want to look at those blueprints, you're welcome to. But in this new building, if we can ever get it finished, we're going to have some sensory rooms. We're going to have some physical therapy rooms, some just different types of rooms that we don't have right now. Not to mention, there's nothing in the current building that's handicap accessible. And so we've had kids there before that had no use of anything below their waist, and everything we have in the current building is stairs, right? And so it's been a job to try to get these kids up and down the stairs to the rooms and all those kind of things. And so if we can ever get this new building done, it is going to be a blessing for years and years to come. Here's the problem. Things are expensive. As you would think here, it's even worse there. And most people, they don't believe that because they think it's a third world country and everything ought to be able to be bought cheap, right? That's not true, because most everything has to be shipped in to Guyana. A lot of stuff comes from Brazil. Some things come from China. And so a lot of things have to be shipped in that we buy. And so through the years from 2008 going forward, they tried multiple times to start a building, and they would work a little bit, and as they had funds available, and then they would stop. And then funds would come available, they work a little bit and stop, right? In 2019 was the last time that anything was done, and that's basically what you see here. First floor exterior walls are done. Second floor, what they call their perimeter beams are set. I'll show you a couple pictures in a minute. You'll see a lot of steel beams inside ready to go up with the second floor. But this is as far as they got in 2019. And then something happened in 2020 that really hurt us, right, with COVID. And when that hit, and then we took over, one of the things that was going on in 2019, the guy that had this work before me, fantastic guy, an older guy, and he was just getting to the point where he just wasn't physically able to keep doing what he was doing, but he was a fundraiser. That was his thing. He went, and everywhere he went, he talked about these children, and he traveled all over the place and raised funds, and he did a really good job of raising funds. But he also would tell this contractor, hey, go ahead and start building, I'll have you some funds, right? And so when we took over, one of the things that was keeping our elders from taking over was he still owed about $80,000 to a contractor for work that they had already done. And so, of course, our elders were like, we can't be responsible for the $80,000 he's already got out. We want to start fresh. And so it was a whole big thing. We had to do a lot of contracts. He ended up getting the most of that money paid off. I think we paid off the last $20,000, but he raised $60,000 and paid off. But I determined at that point that I couldn't keep doing what he was doing, that I would not build anything else until I knew that I had funds to at least, get it dried in, right? And so that's been kind of my goal, is to try to get to that point where we could get it dried in and protect it, because as you can see, it's taking on water. There's water sitting on the slab. There's water that has obviously gotten to block walls. We've even seen some rust on some of the beams. And so we want to try to protect this. And so we've been trying to come up with ways of what we can do to try to put a roof on this thing and get it dried in. Because I think if we can get it dried in, then we can start taking some work crews down there to do some of the interior stuff ourselves. And so I've kind of got some plans to try to do that. So last year, I guess at the very end of last year, November-ish, probably this time last year, my elder said, we've got to come up with something, Stephen, to try to get the ball rolling with, putting a roof on this thing. And so we came up with this campaign, the Raise the Roof campaign, and our elders challenged our members, again, 120, 130 people, and they said that from the eldership, we will give up to $15,000 to match what the membership gives. And so that was kind of the way we presented it. I mean, it was more than that, obviously, but here's why we're doing what we're doing. And but we would like to raise some funds to try to help Stephen, get this roof on this building. And so our members blew us away, and they gave about $17,000 this year. And our elders gave the $15,000. And then in the process of that, when our elders saw how our members were responding, they said, all right, you need to send this out to all of your supporters. And tell them what we're doing as a little bitty small church and challenge them to do things. And so we did that throughout the process of this year, and we were able to raise some more money. I think all in all, we probably raised about $60,000 this year. Currently, we have probably $230,000 set aside. About 2 years ago, I decided to put that into some kind of like CDs, trying to, gain some interest on it as well. So it's not just sitting in a savings account, not drawing anything. And so we're trying to make some money on that. But the last estimates that we got, it was going to cost about $500,000 to put a roof on it, $1.3 million to finish the entire building, but $500,000 to put a roof on it. And so we're, getting close to halfway on that. But those estimates were from 2021. So, I don't know where we are. We haven't gotten estimates in the last few years, but just wanted to kind of share that with you, what we're trying to do, because we desperately need to not only finish this building to protect the money that has already gone into it with members of the church from all over the country here, to protect their assets, but also to try to get these kids in a facility that's adequate for them, that can take care of all of our needs. Here's my last slide. I know I've gone a little long, and I apologize. These two kids, they're not kids anymore. They're adults. Both of these guys grew up in the home from the time that they were about 2 years old going forward. The one on the right, Andy, I showed you a picture of him a second ago. He's one of their main song leaders. He is legally blind, but he taught himself to memorize lyrics, and he's just got a knack for tune, and he's one of their best song leaders. When he turned 18, we found an aunt that actually lived close by to the home, about 30 minutes away from the home. He was able to go and stay with his aunt. Because he's legally blind, he had some issues. Obviously, he wanted to give up school and all this stuff, but members of the church there kept pushing him and supporting him to finish school. He finished school. He's now got a job at a department store. When I say he's blind, like literally, y'all, he'll take a songbook, and he's got just one corner of his eye that he can see out of on one eye, and he'll take a songbook sometimes and kind of turn it different directions and look at this songbook. But he will get up and he'll lead 10 songs and never open a book, because he's looked at it the night before or whatever and prepared himself for it, right? But I say all that to say he's a product of the home, and he doesn't want to go anywhere. And so he's at every service. He is one of the biggest helpers of projects that need to go on around the church building or the home. He's there pretty regularly throughout the week. The kids absolutely love him. He's like an older brother to them, but he's a product of the home. The guy on my left, Michael, he kind of similar story, grew up at the home. He had 2 other siblings. They all grew up at the home. And when he got old enough to get out, he was actually a pretty intelligent kid, and he was able to go on to college. He's now, I guess, what we would call a social worker. He works for their government, and his job is placing children in homes. And guess where the first place that he recommends is, right? And so he's there all the time. And in fact, he's the one, that's the newest baby that just came a few weeks ago. He brought her to the home and asked Kenneth if he could take her in. And so Michael, again, a product of the home. Why do I talk about these 2 guys? Because I believe so much in what we do in this home, and how we raise these kids, and what we do to teach them the gospel while the time that we have them, and help them just to become, good people, right? And so these 2 are just primary examples of that, and that's only 2. We've had others that have gone on to do great things as well. And so I kind of end with their story, just to kind of wrap things up tonight. I think about. There was a passage of scripture that kind of came to my mind, from Luke 12. Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. And from him to whom they have entrusted much, they will demand the more. These young men are using the talents that they have because they believe they've been trusted with something. They believe they've been given something, some abilities, and they're doing everything they can to give back. And then I think about me. And I think about you. What can we do? What are we willing to do to give back, to try to help? The one that truly gave us everything. Are we doing all that we can to serve him? And as these 2 young men are. And I guess that's kind of where I'll end with my challenge to you guys, is just, to do all that we can to serve the one that has blessed us immensely. And that's what these 2 young men are trying to do. I know this is not a typical Sunday night service, and it may be hard to wrap up an invitation like that, but we'll do that just to say the invitation of the Lord is always open. And if there's anyone here tonight who either A, is not a Christian and would like to know more about that, I'm sure this congregation would surround you with love and study with you and help you to come to know Jesus and obey his word. If there are those in the audience tonight that have already done that, but maybe, through whatever, sin in your life, or just, hearing something like this and realizing that maybe you're just not adequately using your talents. Maybe you need the prayers to do more. We would love to pray with you and for you tonight and help you in any way that we can. And so we ask that you come while together we stand and sing.